we'll jump right into 10B, which is the solid waste collection ordinance amendment discussion.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Today, in front of you, we did receive a request from a hauler who we did find in violation of the city's current solid waste collection ordinance. They did pick up 2 times before 7 a.m. So we contacted them to let them know that they had been in violation, and they requested that council consider a change to the ordinance amendment or change the ordinance, an amendment that would allow start time as 6 a.m. rather than 7 a.m. So really, it's a question of the council. We have a formal process when it comes to zoning ordinance amendment changes outlined in the code, but not for other ordinance amendment changes. So really today is a question of whether or not we'd want to move forward with a simple text amendment. This one wouldn't require necessarily a public hearing. We would have to publish it on the website before we, for 10 days, and then go forward with we could put it on consent agenda if it's just that minor text amendment, but just really looking for some feedback from council if they'd want to move forward with an amendment such as a 6 a.m. start.
Thank you.
So now I know why my solid waste didn't get picked up when I put it out there about 7 a.m. They started, they drove by already. Okay, thanks. I'm all right.
There was only one hauler that did that.
One of the 3, yeah.
One of the 3 that did that.
And only twice that we know of.
Yeah.
They've been conforming since then.
Yeah.
I've been keeping track.
Yeah, so we've been trying to be on top of it. But really, it's a question. There is the limited staffing issue is why they requested that. In doing some brief research today on other cities, Maple Grove has a 6:30 start, Plymouth has a 7.
Hanover.
7 in Hanover as well. I think there's 6 a.m. in a couple other cities. So it's really it's a policy decision on what the council would like to see. I think.
Isn't COVID and these economic times and labor shortages sort of a catch-all for everything right now? Like whatever you want, you just kind of assign it to.
So I think that this is completely in your wheelhouse. If we want to allow it, we can. We are not required.
Not to say there aren't real problems with labor and everything.
I like the 7 o'clock start because it aligns with the construction hours ordinance.
Yeah. Isn't it the reverse that bothers everybody, or is it?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Like
Because I live in the country. We don't. But they
Like
can pick it up at
being-
4:30 a.m. as far as I'm concerned.
Gotcha.
I don't know that. What's the issue?
Well, I think some people, it hasn't, I haven't personally noticed it, but I know some people have been woken up by it, or kids being woken up by it when it's earlier.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just
Yeah.
asking for clarification.
Yeah, I'd be worried about, well, I agree with you on the construction hours, and I'd also be worried about the earlier starts with public safety, about people, kids standing at school buses early in the morning, or walking. I don't see any reason why they can't conform with the 1, 2 of the 3 do already.
Yeah, and it seems like changing would be a big fix for like potentially a short-term limited issue.
Yeah.
I think 7 o'clock's fine personally.
Agreed.
So long as the reasons for having it be done in the first place still exist.
So I think we're all in agreement to
Sounds-
keep it as is.
Thank you all.
10C, dust control
Yes,
program.
thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm going to pass this over to Kevin, and I do have just a brief kind of map of some of the discussion points.
Well, thanks, Mayor and Council. Earlier this year, we opened bids for dust control, asphalt, seal coat, those items, and there was some price increases with each of them, and we said that before we advanced the project, if there was any further considerations, we bring it back to you. So this is one of the items, dust control's coming up here in June. We're making gravel arrangements and plans here this month. So if you recall, with the 2022 general budget, we basically budgeted for the dust control assessment that we had historically processed. So we did that, had that line item. We are kind of operating as staff under the assumption that we'd mimic the 2021 plan, that now that plan is on the screen for you. That plan has evolved over time, and it's kind of been a combination of collector roads and roads that Public Works has valued to apply dust control. Some of the roads that are left off are because they've been petitioned off. Some of the roads that are added are because they've been petitioned on. It's kind of been a hodgepodge program based on assessments. So now that we don't have assessments, we kind of have a pivot point here in the program, so to speak. And again, we are operating under, let's just take it one step at a time and react. And then with a 15% budget increase, we're bringing that back to you. So there's a couple things we have. Direction tonight is that first two bullet points would be either increase the budget by about 15%, 12,500, and we'd mimic the exact same roads we did last year. That's the recommendation for simplicity purposes primarily. Or you can direct us to fit that program within the existing budget. We could bring back at the next meeting what roads we'd recommend pulling off and not. There's probably some anticipated sensitivity that staff would anticipate picking and choosing that because of, again, people have either petitioned for this on or off. So if we eliminate something after it's no longer assessed, that could result in a lot of feedback. So we just want to get your thoughts on how we address this year's program, and then some things that we'd like you to either think about or provide feedback today as we move forward with the program and we look at the 2023 budgets and beyond would be some of the things that we do is historically we'll take a one-off. So this is our plan, but if someone calls in that week, we would say the cost is X amount per linear foot. If you want it, write us a check and we'll put dust control down. We have historically done that because we've been issuing assessments anyways. So we kind of, invoicing is all happening concurrently, and it was something we could accommodate because we were going through that process. Part of getting rid of that was streamlining that process. So do we still want to offer that? It's a lot to juggle. We kind of ride the subcontractors pretty hard, and then it adds administrative burden. So are you guys still considering or wanting us to pursue that? And then how do you want to handle feedback that we're getting? We're getting a lot of calls this year about, well, we heard that there's no assessments. Can we get our road added? Because it's quote unquote free. So how do you want us to handle that? And I guess it's also making you aware that we're starting to get those trickle in. And how do you guys want us to handle that? And you may be getting some of those same calls here very shortly. So again, the focus tonight is direction on what we're putting down here in a couple months or a month and a half, and then how you want us, thoughts on how you want us to handle the program going forward. Do you want Public Works to look at the whole program and tell you what budget increases would be, in a couple months when we bring back the 2023 budget? Do you want to rely on feedback, a combination of both? It's an open-ended kind of topic there. So I'll pause and let you guys ask questions and have a conversation.
Questions?
I have a question.
Go for it.
It's clarification, and sort of comment too, but the dust control is sort of a little bit of a misnomer because it does control the dust, but it also helps maintain the road, and without the chemical on top of the road, we would lose a lot. We would need to maintain the roads more, right? Does it pay for itself in the savings on the actual lessening of the maintenance costs?
I would say we haven't ever gone through that exercise. I would say it's a valued part of our maintenance program from a Public Works perspective.
So the chemical hardens.
It's a combination. So it's more from Public Works. It's more road stability, minimizes grading, minimizes complaints. I think more of public. It's more of the nuisance dust control. So you're right. It's probably a bad it should be something different.
Partner.
Technically, yeah, road stabilizer. It serves two purposes, nuisance as well as road stabilizer.
So the city would probably do it even if it didn't control the dust, because it saves in, it could potentially, I'm not gonna say it would, but it could potentially actually save the money. Like if dust went everywhere, but it still solidified the road bed, the city might just lay this chemical down for just maintaining of the road bed. And I say that, I have bias because I live on a dirt road and I appreciate the dust control. But I also want it to be known that it's not just about the dust control, it's about saving maintenance cost, and in the end, it would probably be done it may be done whether it saves the dust or not.
Yes, correct. If I waited to simplify saying that in my own words, it would be, if we eliminated the dust control all over, our road quality, gravel road quality would significantly decrease. It is a valuable tool that we can use to maintain the quality of our roads.
How many roads don't get it because they petitioned off? Is that a lot of it, or just a tiny bit?
There's some, I mean, I would say, how many I don't know, maybe a
It's
quarter are petitioned off, a third,
It's
or,
varied per year, 1 or 2 per year. I mean, it's usually some of the smaller side roads. It's not generally the collector roads. We haven't recommended a collector road be taken off. It's more those.
I think the exception's Homestead Trail. Some of the ones that are collector roads that feel more like rural gravel roads, but,
Okay.
I think if we were to move to a model where we chose the roads that we want to do, I think it would increase the budget. I think we'd want to do more roads, and the priority would be collector roads. The higher speed roads is more of the stabilization benefit. It helps all of them, but those are where we spend more time due to higher traffic.
How many of them do we have, though? Because most of the roads that aren't shown highlighted here are blacktop roads, or they're county
Yeah,
roads.
there's, I think Homestead.
Ebert, well, we just talked about.
Ebert. I mean, yeah, it's,
Or-
we have the majority of them on here for sure. I
Yeah,
mean, and even Stieg Road will get paved next year, so we are peeling back some 66.
Meister.
Get peeled off.
Yeah,
So,
and then-
I mean, Meister 93rd would probably get added, I think Homestead Trail.
Corcoran East and West can come off.
I think a couple people pay on Meister and on 93rd to have dust control laid down.
Yep, and Wagon Wheel has a person that pays, so if we move forward with the if we adopt, move forward with the 2020 plan, we would add on last year's people that requested to pay, because I view that as equivalent, so I just want to be transparent. So there would be those 3 add-ons that were added on last year in segments, not the entire road. But that you could say we don't want to do that too. But those are some of the folks that have called in already and want to make sure that they can either pay for it, or they would much prefer to get it quote-unquote free, but they also want to make sure they get it as well.
I think that makes sense to carry forward. And then maybe for next year, we just budget enough that we can do all the gravel roads.
Or at least see what that number is to do that.
We can bring that back with the budget discussion, or we'll be talking about budget priorities in late June. So we can add that
Sounds
to
good.
the things that we will talk about.
Okay.
And whenever we talk about gravel, we should talk about what are we going to do long-term so that we can have a sustainable way of keeping our paved roads paved and eventually convert over the ones that
The
we're.
third rail of Corcoran politics. Gravel roads.
What do we do with seal coating?
What do we do with it?
What I mean, that's budgeted, right?
We budget a certain amount a year, and we typically follow our overlay program, since I've been here and probably well beyond that. At some point, we'll have to do a pavement management CIP kind of program. And, I mean, we're investing and we're increasing those investments, but, it's better than historic. We're probably, if we do the analysis, I wouldn't be surprised that we're underfunding that.
Yeah, the roads are going to keep wearing out.
Yeah.
And the longer we take to determine what our program will be, the more behind we'll find ourselves. I also wanted to ask about crack sealing on the asphalt roads. Do we have a program to assess and seal those cracks?
We don't, it's in our public works operating budget. It's under, there's a line item for it.
Okay,
And we currently do it as staff.
okay.
We try to hit every 2 to 3 years. We will, when we start absorbing the developments, we are planning maybe to outsource some of that, like, and build a program where we outsource those roads, and we have to figure that out and bring it back to you, but we'll be getting more roads than we can do, because there's a certain window
Yeah.
that you want to hit, where you optimize that, and we just can't cover as much as we used to. So potentially one consideration is the new roads would get built into a program where we'd subcontract that out and we'd maintain what we're doing, or maybe we go away from it altogether. I don't know, we're getting the volume of what we're doing in the hours and when we need to do them is getting crunched, as you guys are aware, and condensed, so we gotta figure out other ways to relieve that. We need to understand that, and I think we've talked about our goal setting, how do we forecast some of that stuff and make sure we're covering our needs and setting ourselves up, so that's gonna be a conversation here.
Do we have the opportunity to build crack sealing into the turnover process when new roads are given over to the city? Should that be something that we just put in the development agreements?
We currently require, if the wear course, so we have a process where when we allow wear and take over snow plowing and when we accept the roads. So, and that's based on the number of homes in that addition that are built. So when they meet a 80% threshold, that's in the DA, they can put wear down if they want. That doesn't mean, they have to get through all their punch lists and all that. If the wear is down for 2 years before we accept it, they're required to seal coat it. So they're required to, like, at the point of wear being down, we've been making them do that. If they only have the workhorse down once we accept it, we'll do the seal coating, or we'll do the crack repair in this. So we have a practice and a policy.
Very good.
There's a lot that goes on that you have no idea.
Well, the key is, let's make them last as long as we can, so we don't have to pay to replace them as frequently.
The key is develop some type of material that will,
Wouldn't that be great?
because you lay it down, it'll crack.
If the Corcoran City Council found a way to have roads last longer and we could pave the whole city.
Yeah. So I guess just tackling the first item on it, do we want to match or continue as is, or do we want to try to maximize, AKA, basically take some out to make the number?
Yeah.
I think we
That's
have,
where-
I think we do number one.
Yeah.
That's my vote.
I would agree.
How far are we off when you pull out Steep Road from our numbers, or is that already factored in?
That's in there, so that 12,500 will probably be less. I took last year's numbers, and we have some decisions to make, because Tegro won't be paved till next year, so we're probably doing that this year.
Okay.
But should be paved next year, in a large project with the Amberley development, so it's just a significant project, so we have to they'll likely be teed up for construction next year.
There'll be a few things taken out, like the Corcoran Trail.
Corcoran Trails, yeah, so it should be under the 12,500. I just had to base it off of something and our new prices. It should be less than that, but that covers us for last year's program.
Hopefully, we get Hackamore repaired before we have to do dust control on Hackamore.
Or it just turns.
There's a
At
project,
least.
Hackamore will be kind of handled by Medina this year. We do share that road, that piece that goes down to Arrowhead, but they're doing some improvements on Arrowhead, and there's some road closures coming up here in June and July, and so I think I need to confirm this, but I believe they're handling that for this year due to sending more vehicles over it through their construction, so.
Okay.
And just to note, we will be bringing a discussion on Hackmore and that project to the next meeting.
Is it the next meeting?
We're gonna just tee up
Perfect.
that, and then we'll bring final design on June 9th.
Sounds-
pending that everyone wants to move forward. So that's being reviewed by the next.
Perfect.
Can we make sure the final design presentation is an hour, like the preliminary design presentation was? And it was riveting? Is
Really
that
exciting
true?
road.
Oh my gosh. I was ready to drive my tractor off a cliff into the river. This is too much.
Is
Do you
that
need a motion
direction
for that?
enough, or I don't know?
I think per consensus, you'd like us to move forward with it. I think we should be able to.
Perfect.
To do that.
That works.
And then just to clarify, the feedback would be just take feedback and look at all the roads and bring that back at budget time, whatever feedback we.
Yeah, I'd say
can build
get
it
us a
in.
number
Yeah.
and
Okay,
decision then.
thank you.
All right, 10D, Facilities Subcommittee.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is related to our strategic goals. One of the things we discussed was looking at overall facilities for the community, looking at an inventory of all the land we have and thinking about the future, whether that's parks and city campus or fire stations and any and all facility needs. So really looking to have one or two members of council meet with staff to kind of start game planning how we move forward with that over the next several years.
I would volunteer, unless somebody else.
I
has
would
strong
too,
feelings.
or what, guys, any interest?
I could, but it would need to be Monday, Tuesday. I mean,
We can have
I'd
up
be
to
happy
two
to.
members of for a subcommittee.
The meetings for me would have to be Monday, Tuesday.
Causing issues,
Uh,
time-wise?
I don't think Monday or Tuesday would be an issue, so.
Tuesdays would be hard for me, but we could do Monday.
You do want to do it then?
Sure.
Yeah, I can tolerate.
Or do you want, if you don't want to do it?
No, I can put up with Jeremy.
Sounds good.
Likewise.
How long is this subcommittee gonna be in
Yeah.
effect for? Because your term is up in November.
Both of theirs are.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's but yours is.
Oh, that's right.
So I think John's volunteering.
I'm busy that day. I'm already on the police negotiating team. Sap dry every ounce of energy trying to.
Can we get a bunch done by November, since neither one of us
You know,
are
I
gonna
think
win?
we can
Or-
at least-
I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
for bonding.
I forget, yeah.
I think we'll be able to at least get a good start and get some information.
Okay.
But I do think it might be a several-year thing, so we might end up appointing new members over time if we need to, but that's certainly something that we'd look at.
The fire committee took a year just
Right.
to think
Yeah.
about it. Whatever, I'm just bringing it up.
I mean, it's part of clearly a.
I
much
look forward to hearing what you
longer
Yes,
guys have to
And
say.
it's something that's gonna come
Thank
back
you
to
for
the
doing
council,
it.
I'm sure, countless times for countless different aspects of it, so. Perfect. Then we just have
Can't do
10E.
everything.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. We have we were approached by the Public Works team. We have a piece of equipment that's reached its useful life, and so we're asking to move forward with getting a new sandblaster. It wasn't in the original CIP because we thought it would last longer, and it is not. So we're here in front of you tonight. We did receive 2 quotes for it with the low quote attached to the staff report there. And just really wanted to note that we can do it in-house rather than having to outsource it. So the payback, keeping it in-house is, we think, is a good deal for the city and something that allows us to do it on our own terms and not have to schedule things. So.
Motion to approve sandblaster replacement purchase.
Second.
Pick one.
Can I ask questions?
Yeah.
Sure.
So how often do you use this piece of equipment, and what do you use it for?
Every year,
For
for
what?
a couple days, 2 or 3 days, when we transition from winter and summer equipment. So we'll take the snowplow blade
Yeah.
blast it, repaint it so that it lasts longer. We'll take the sander box if it's showing signs of rust, blast it, repaint it. We have that capability in-house. We have a small, this one's slightly more significant than the old one. But we do that, annually when we transition equipment. We do it sometimes for park equipment that's, the metal frames, if it's showing signs of rust, we can blast it, repaint it. So it's an investment. To outsource this, it's $180 an hour. So your payback period's 3 to 4 years, and the piece of equipment's gonna last 30. And this purchase also includes all the safety equipment, headgear, air gear with it. So for $6,500, we feel like it's a good deal. But we use it annually for 2 to 3 days.
Could you rent this piece of equipment? Can you go down to 55 rental and rent a sandblaster for 2 days?
Yeah.
A year?
I'm sure you could rent it. I mean, I think.
It wouldn't be the size you need.
I think you look at the 25-year life and you're renting it every 25 years, you're gonna come out well ahead, with the purchase, but, stuff's harder to rent now, availability's harder to rent, but you probably could rent it, I don't know that answer. When we look to purchase it, the vendors, there's one in Minneapolis, and the next best one is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So this is not a easily procured piece of equipment.
Is this a piece of equipment most public works have in the area?
Good question. Pat would know that more than me. I feel like I can't answer that. We can follow up with you on that.
They don't have a sandblaster at 55 rental.
Did you just look it up?
Yeah, it's on the,
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we maintain our equipment better than most public works groups. Probably biased in that, but that's something that has been a priority here well before my time.
Have you already used it for this year?
I think that's why we're trying to rush it on the agenda to buy so that we can use it for this year.
Okay.
Anything else? We do have motion and a
How
second.
long did the last one last?
I think in that 25, I think
Was
it's
it?
been here for a long time, yeah. Yep. So, I mean, we feel like it's a valuable piece. It's perfect timing when we swap out stuff this time of year when we're waiting for roads. It fills our time, we look at how we're best utilizing our time versus outsourcing it. It's been part of our routine, for I think as long as Pat's been here. I can follow up with some of that information if you'd like after, and I can connect you with Pat on some of those details. Apologize, I don't have that off the top of my head.
No problem. Anything else? Motion and a second, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Opposed? Nay, so
I wanted more information.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. And then that is it. Yes, city council schedule, have that in the packet.
Yeah, if you have any questions, we have a busy meeting on the 26th. We have several planning items, so just know that it's going to be a busy meeting. And then we do have a residential design standards workshop, similar to today, to help us understand kind of what we're looking at.
Under class.
To get with those couple items related to
This is the
design
one.
standards.
Sounds good.
I have a question for Kevin.
For 20 years.
I think I asked a couple weeks ago about the
they probably,
Garages 2 water project. Is that going to be on the agenda anytime soon? I got a note from somebody down in that area after the big rain last night, and they're curious what our status is.
Yeah, I think there's planned to be a draft. Had some trouble getting some information, but there will be a draft update when Garages 2 comes, which I think is scheduled for the next meeting. So there'll be a discussion prior to that meeting, an update of where that project sits, or that report sits.
Will there be anything in the public discussion that they should pay attention to as that comes forward, or is it just happening offline at this point?
I mean, I think we're gonna present the draft report in advance of you reviewing the final plat.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it'd be a,
Part of their conversation then at the meeting?
yes, yep, it'll
Okay.
be public. We'll provide you the draft we have to date, the information to date, so if you have specific questions that you're hearing or want addressed in that, if you can send them through Jessica, we can make sure we address them in the best capacity we have at this point.
Very good.
I'd say forward them the agenda when it comes out.
Will do. Thank you.
And we did want to have it before discussion of grudges too, so you all had an update of what the feasibility study looked like and where we're going.
Perfect. Okay, anything else?
One more question. Last meeting, did we do preliminary and final plat for Wright Hennepin?
No, they only ended up doing preliminary, so they'll be coming in with final plat.
When?
We have not received an
I
application.
thought that timeline was the 24th of May.
I would believe they're incomplete until they meet some thresholds, and then once they're complete, they get scheduled for final plat.
We've not yet received the.
We needed to make a decision by May 20-something on preliminary plat.
Oh, just on preliminary,
Got
that
it.
was the
That was-
120
right.
rule on that one.
we sure did delay it a long time, but now we're pushing it out, so.
Yep.
That's not our fault, I don't wanna hear about it.
We didn't delay it a long time.
I know, but that was the accusation.
And
Okay.
I don't wanna
But
go there.
You said we we did not delay it.
I was saying it sarcastically.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
whole different thing. You guys, I think you guys know. I just,
So we're within our
Ask.
timelines,
Okay.
and right now, we'd need to finish up any of those conditions before we could move forward with final.
It's in- yeah,
and I lost power that Sunday night.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
So did our neighbors, though. I was
Unrelated,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion
How
to
am I doing?
adjourn.
Look at Jessica laugh.
Pick one and pick a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Poking the bear, sorry.
Quality of our mayor has gone down precipitously.
Oh.